What's the worst advice you've ever been given?
Worst advice. Yes. Put your head down and just work.
Put your head down and just
Work.
just do the work, grind
Do
it
the
out.
work, yes.
Uh-huh.
And put your head down, basically meaning don't question, don't, push back, don't be a troublemaker. Just, ingia, fanya kazi, ulipwe mshahara wako, uondoke.
Okay. When I heard put your head down, usually nafikiriaga inamaanisha kwamba acha kulalamika, piga kazi.
No, so kula. Yani usilete fujo, usianze kulani shida, questioning your bosses or their decisions. It's like almost like wewe kichwa chini, so that you're not nobody really notices you, or nobody really sees you as somebody who's causing trouble, or as a troublemaker, or as somebody who's pushing back. They're just like, oh, that's such an easy person to work with, because they'll always say yes. They're just a yes person. I think it was the worst advice. And I think the person who gave me the advice was coming from a good place.
Yeah.
They're coming from a good place because at the time it was my first job in corporate communication. And at the time, even now, a lot of organizations don't hire communications people. Like a communications team will have one person, at most two people. And I was lucky enough to get a communications job. And they're like, kwanza watu hawaajiri watu wa communications. Kwa umepata kazi na umepata kazi nzuri na wanakulipa vizuri, put your head down, fanya kazi, usianze kuleta unajua fujo zako, be grateful. Ili usipoteze hiyo kazi.
Yeah.
And they came from a good, like they had good intentions. But I think a lot of times I say people give advice that they would give themselves instead of thinking of the person that they're giving advice to. So instead of giving me advice as Cynthia, they're giving me advice as if Cynthia was them.
Yeah, it's the same way people tell you can't do something.
Yeah.
That it means they can't do it.
Yes,
so
it's not about...
you definitely can't do it too if I can't do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think if I'd followed that advice, I would be so miserable. Because first of all, my superpower is clarity, seeking clarity. It's asking questions, because it's in asking questions that you understand the problem and even the underlying issues that are not necessarily coming up in meetings or in emails or in whatever. It's pushing back that got me, I suppose the learning and the lessons that I got. So
clarity is your superpower.
Clarity is my superpower.
Clarity woman.
Yes.
Pretty cool. Unajua, for some, the background where you came from inachangia sana wewe kuweza kufikiria kudare. Especially, for instance, in that particular scenario where it's a good gig. It's a gig you should be grateful for. And of course you should be grateful for it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that you can't be who you're supposed to be as a result of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to think many times when I get a chance to work on something or with someone, I'm lucky to get the gig, but they're lucky to have me as their consultant as well.
Absolutely.
Right. Because you have a need and I can fulfill that need. And there are not very many people like me who can fulfill it the way you need it to be fulfilled.
I always think the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a win-win. It's a value exchange.
Yeah.
And even in the context of mwajiri na mwajiriwa, it's a value exchange.
It's a value exchange, but I think I've always felt like they always got the better end of the deal. Like I don't give 100, I give like 150. And they're probably paying me 100.